Yo, what's going on, everybody? It is Straight Outta Boston, and today I'm back for episode number 50 of my Jim Lowry Road to the Show series here on MLB The Show 16. So, for the second or third consecutive year, we've had an all-star caliber first half here with a FIP under 3, an ERA under 3, handful of wins under our belt, striking out more than 10 guys per 9. A 2.3 FIP, I mean, that is pretty ridiculous. But for the, like I said, second and third consecutive year, we don't end up actually getting to play in the All-Star game. I don't know if that's because we weren't selected, if because it was just some sort of glitch with the game this year, or maybe it's something with imported saves from last year's game. I don't really know. But I've never been able to play in an All-Star game with Jim Lowry, and I've wanted to in the past, but just have never had the opportunity. So anyway, that is that, taking on the New York Mets in the first start of this episode. So I know it's been a while since I posted a Jim Lowry video. I apologize for that. I've been extremely busy this summer with a pretty heavy work schedule, and then obviously just trying to spend time hanging out with friends and such as well, enjoying parts of my summer other than just working. And then on top of that, trying to keep up with the YouTube channel has become a bit of a challenge, but I'm by any means not by any means, thinking about quitting or anything right now, or stepping away for an extended period of time. I just am probably going to keep posting a little bit less often than I have in the past, so I hope you guys are going to be okay with that. But we also have some, real baseball talk to get into in this video, because very recently, my favorite team, the Red Sox, have made a handful of moves, and I'm sure you guys are going to be looking for some hot takes from my end. But I actually tweeted my opinion on the Drew Pomeranz trade the other day, and my initial reaction was pretty much everyone else's initial reaction, like, wow, they gave up Anderson Espinosa, the guy that Keith Law just rated as the 14th best prospect in baseball and one of the top pitching prospects in baseball, for a guy in Drew Pomeranz who, was an all-star this year and has had, a little bit of success in the past as both a starter and a reliever with the Oakland A's. But all in all is probably a bit of an underwhelming return for a guy of Espinosa's caliber. But I think it is just kind of the way the market is going to be this summer. And I think that obviously there are not a lot of arms on the market, especially because of the second wild card. A lot of teams still think they're in it. That's kind of been a symptom of the second wild card for the past couple of years now, where there are a lot less sellers, and it often is a seller's market at the deadline, just because the demand is a lot higher than the supply. And especially this year, I mean, you go down the list of potential starters that are going to be on the market. I mean, you look at a team like the Oakland A's. They have guys like Rich Hill and Sonny Gray, but Gray has not performed this year, and Oakland is not going to sell low in his value, at a time when his value is at an all-time low, as opposed to going into the year when you might have been able to command, two top 10 or 15 prospects as opposed to just one, like the Padres got for Drew Pomeranz. Then, Rich Hill is a guy who's probably going to be traded, but I think what Dombrowski and the Red Sox really wanted to do with this move was not only acquire a starter to help them this year, but also help them moving forward, because they don't really have anyone at the AA or AAA level that is kind of ready to come up and take a spot in next year's rotation. And so when you add it all up, Pomeranz is not only a guy that is going to step in and immediately become likely their number 3 starter behind David Price and Stephen Wright, but also, be their number 3 starter for the next 2 years moving forward, because he is controllable through 2018, when he will become a free agent at the end of the year, right around age 29 or 30. So that will be, an interesting point to see if he remains on the team past that point, assuming that he continues to pitch relatively well. I mean, I'm not expecting him to maintain his 2.6 ERA or whatever he was carrying in San Diego. I know his opponent's BABIP has been very low. I know he still walks a lot of guys. His strikeouts per 9, though, are at an all-time high for him, or a career high, I should say. So that's a very encouraging sign. And he does throw a cut fastball, which I do like, because he doesn't throw, extremely hard, but the ability to throw a cutter and have a little movement on your fastball, I think, is really, really important. And he also does come with a first-round pedigree. He's a former top prospect, the number 5 overall pick by the Cleveland Indians in the 2010 draft. Then he's bounced around a lot, gone to Colorado in the Ubaldo Jimenez trade, and then ended up in Oakland, and then San Diego before ultimately in Boston, of course, after the recent trade. And so at the end of the day, I just look at it as the price that had to be paid for Dombrowski to not only get a starter to help out the team this year, but also into the future. Of course, they do have that young core of offensive players that they're going to want to be building around, and they're going to want to be adding arms to moving forward. So if they had made a move for a guy like Rich Hill or Jeremy Hellickson, then they would have just had to make another move in the offseason and readdress the staff. But now you look at it moving forward, they've got their 5-man staff as it currently stands, with David Price, Stephen Wright, Drew Pomeranz, Rick Porcello, and Eduardo Rodriguez. Now, at least that is how I would draw it up, but they've got all of those guys controlled through at least 2018. And you're thinking, I mean, it is a rotation with a lot of upside, but also a lot of risk. I mean, you look at guys like Price, who has not performed very well so far this year, at least not up to his standards. Same thing with Eduardo Rodriguez. Porcello has kind of settled into what I thought he would be, you know, as a Red Sox pitcher, kind of a solid number 3, number 4, not really anything special, but definitely a guy you want in the middle of your rotation. He's won a lot of games this year, thanks to, you know, the pretty good offensive production he's gotten in his starts, but also because he's kept the team in ball games, he hasn't had a lot of bad starts. Very often he goes, you know, 5, 6, 7 innings, gives up 2, 3, sometimes 4 runs, but usually keeping the Red Sox in the games, and that is kind of what you want with this staff and with the offense. So I think Porcello slots in as a pretty nice number 3, number 4, and I think Pomeranz does the same. And I think Stephen Wright likely to regress at some point. I'm not sure how much. He's kept the ball in the ballpark in terms of home runs at a very abnormal rate, especially for a knuckleball pitcher, so I'm very dubious that he will be able to keep that up, but he's done it so far, and, you know, I just watched him pitch on Friday night against the Yankees, and he was as nasty as ever up until the 7th inning there, but I guess it was the 6th inning where he started to run into some trouble, but he was nasty as ever, and it's just really hard to doubt his success at this point. I mean, I'm sure he will regress, like I said, to a certain amount, but I think he's still going to be a solid number 2, number 3, number 4-ish starter in the league, you know, for moving forward. But anyway, that is really enough Red Sox talk. I'm sure you guys are pretty much fed up at this point. So you can see Lowry finishes off the second start of this episode against the Cincinnati Reds, rocking the throwbacks with 11 strikeouts over 8 innings of work, surrendering the 2 runs. But here you can see the Cardinals really picking it up in the month of August, playing some really good baseball. The entire pitching staff pitching very, very well, and that includes Lowry. But you can see we've pulled to 83 and 46. We've won 14 games in a row. Lowry, 2.61 ERA so far in the FIP, is going to be all the way down to 2.04 right now. He has just dominated the competition. So into the month of September, cooling off a little bit, but still well ahead in the division. So at this point, we've got the last regular season episode, looking to wrap up the division fairly soon. We're 96 and 54, taking on the Colorado Rockies. I wanted to pitch in Colorado. I thought it would be a pretty tough challenge. Of course, you know, really no one has been able to figure out pitching in Colorado. I mean, you really got to think about the best pitchers that they've had in that franchise's history. Not a lot of them have lasted very long, like Ubaldo Jimenez, and of course Mike Hampton flamed out there, but Nolan Arenado with the opposite field shot. I thought that was a pretty good fastball, but Arenado just got around on it, and that was elevated, so he was able to lift it high and deep to right field, and the thin air carried that one out of the yard. So it's a 1-1 game. Here in the bottom of the second inning, the 2-2 pitch coming. That is strike 3, 100 miles an hour on the fastball there. Now into the third inning, a man on, but a 0-2 count. That's another strikeout, this time with Charlie Tilson being the victim, and now it is going to be the next man up. Leonis Martin going down as Lowry just drops the changeup in there for strike 3, and then here in the 5th inning, it's Tilson up again. He's behind 0-2. He goes down, changeup way out of the zone there, but Tilson completely fooled. Now Arenado with another chance here in the bottom of the 5th. He flies one to a deep right field. Does he have another one? No, it looks like Hayward is under it, and he does make the grab there for the third and final out of that inning. So we are on to the bottom of the 6th. Now it's Billy Butler at the dish. 0-1 count. He's going to rip one, but that is caught by Manny Machado with the leaping grab over there at third base. So a defensive web gem there from the Gold Glove third baseman. Now later in the inning, it is Tom J. Murphy. He goes down on the fastball. That was an 11-pitch at-bat right there, but Lowry did win the battle in the end. And then here we go later in the game. It is Nunez going down on the fastball, just looking. Now Willen Rosario pitch hitting in the bottom of the 7th. That is going to be a ground ball. Nice play in the hole by the shortstop. Throw to first in time. And that is another nice defensive play. That would be the final out that Lowry would record on this evening. 7 innings pitched, 8 strikeouts, only 5 hits and 1 earned run. But the Rockies end up winning that game. However, it would not matter because the Cardinals finished out the season 102 and 60, and that would be good enough to win the NL Central and actually secure the #1 seed in the NL playoff picture. So we are going to be taking on the winner of the wild card game. Taking a look at Lowry's stats here. Finished off with a spectacular year on the mound, probably his best one yet, and actually finished pretty hot at the plate too. 0.99. You see, I did get a hit in there at one point in this episode. I'm not sure if you guys caught that. It was during my Red Sox spiel, but he was hitting 0.24 during the Cincinnati game and finished at 0.99. So a good second half, or really good last month for Jim at the dish. That's going to do it. Hope you guys enjoy. Thanks for watching, and I'm out. Peace.